What do you have to say? I ain't got shit to say. I'm the king of burn. How about you?
I'll fight my mum if she can make weight.
Who's fucking next?
Eternal MMA Uncensored.
Fuck it. Welcome everybody to episode 7 of MMA Uncensored. We have our guest, the one and only Steve the Steamroller Kennedy.
That's me.
That's you. Just a quick question. Perry Hale always does the Mr. Kennedy. Do you like that one better?
I like the way he does it.
I don't like the way he does anything.
I think, yeah, to be honest, I think he enjoys doing that a lot more than I enjoy it. But let's be honest, like I walked out with that as part of my intro music just one time.
Yeah.
It was from WWE. It was Mr. Kennedy.
That's what I mean. I think it was like once that you did that and it's followed you
And
forever.
that's like a kind of thing. Like me and him, it's like a little week. Like, hey, we like pro wrestling.
I guess that works then. I guess you're not going to be like... Well, that's the other thing too, because like, I'm always scared to make up a nickname. Like, I'll never do it.
Don't you think Ben Vickers is ridiculous?
Oh, he's fucking just
Like,
left.
what a joke of a man.
Do you feel like being in his gym, like you've now infiltrated, it's like a castle, and like you now own the castle?
And I think his gym now has staff. Good luck with the mopping, Ben.
Ben just fucking... I tell you what though, when we do this, Ben just runs around. Like, I reckon he tells everyone, like, oh, come in at 1. So that when I'm here, he's like, oh, sorry, mate, another customer. There it is.
I'm a fucking private businessman. What do you want me to do?
Speak to the devil.
I heard my big ears were burning when you heard them. They're not big, they're just...
Yeah,
sticking out quite a
Steve
lot.
said you have your gym has staff now.
Well, you should have seen the look on my wife's face when I told her I had to go to the clinic for an hour.
Why does it have staff now?
Because Steve's here.
I'm here, welcome. I brought gifts.
Is that your little red car outside?
That is my
Do you really drive?
It is the arrows of power.
Do people drive past and like, you fuck? Oh.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much.
stop.
Nah, still
Road
even...
raging you.
Steve looks like the least scariest guy in the world.
I do.
Right.
And I
You
do,
look at his ears though.
But I flex out the window just in case.
Like,
It's not much to... You flop out the window.
I see what you did there.
but even when he's
Kind of like
fucking
physique.
working the door at nightclubs, all the other security guards that look way scarier than him, all the ones with the cool
I'm
mullets.
the one that everyone wants to have a crack at.
Yeah.
But if you're in the know, I would take one look at his ears, even if I didn't know him, and go, I probably don't want to fuck with that
Are
guy.
you a rugby player?
Did you get that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cauliflower is a dead giveaway to someone in the fight games. Like,
Legal union, bro.
I had a kid in school that was just born with a cauliflower ear. So I
what a
guess...
cool bastard.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
just-
I saw an Indian fellow at the cheesecake shop, and I was just like, "Oh, wrestler." He's like, "Oh, my ears just born like this." Is that racist?
Was it Welsh?
Yeah, go on. You know, he was Indian descent, but he was born in Canada and then raised in Wales.
That's much more interesting. Yeah.
Well, that's...
That
I mean...
was bad. You nailed it.
My Irish accent sounds very similar.
Yeah,
Anyone that's not Australian.
this will get a lot worse. If you got offended last week about Ben not liking gays, well
I
then...
didn't say I didn't like gays.
Ben started the podcast out last week. We have our first ever...
Statistically, he loves them.
We have our first ever dislike on a video. I reckon it's that. I reckon they were like, he doesn't like gays. Vote no.
I never said I didn't like gays.
What is your stance on marriage equality?
We're not doing this again. If you listen to last week's podcast, you'll find out.
I think everything should be completely equal, and I'm only going to start paying half the rent.
Good for you, mate. Marriage equality is alright. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm saying that. Last week I fucking dug myself a big hole.
Care to it, right?
Yeah.
I think if you guys want to get married, it's sweet.
Another good hole to dive into. Why hasn't Steve fought on Eternal?
We actually had Steve booked in for the main event of the first ever Eternal in Perth, and he got signed to the UFC.
Yeah.
Who's he going to fight?
Rick Alchin.
Rick Alchin, yeah.
We had it all locked in. Steve was obviously the first man we went to as the sort of premier WA MMA fighter. So that's why Steve hasn't been on Eternal. I'd still love to have Steve on Eternal.
Steve would love to be on Eternal.
But he's got to get in shape.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
too busy on Hex. He's like...
I've not fought on Hex since 2004.
I'm more a Hex guy. And,
2004.
I have been offered.
I think it might have been more recent.
I have been offered to fight.
I love the way you plucked 2004 out.
No, never mind. It's a Step Brothers reference. I was offered to fight Kit Campbell November 24th in Melbourne.
For the title, for the strap.
For the welterweight title, which is on the cards. Got a few different offers floating around.
ACB.
Yeah, it could happen. That's December in Australia. Apparently, they're a pretty good show. Always.
Did you speak to your mate Benny Alloway, get some advice on fighting for ACB?
Nah, but Benny did hit me up about us doing like a mini training camp with Jesse Taylor when he comes to Australia to fight in UFC City.
So you and Benny buddies now? Is the fucking rivalry dead?
Are we buddies?
I think you've always had a grudge and respect for one another.
You know what? Like at the end of the day, like Benny's one of the few people that's like a legit fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gets out there and puts his fucking.
When me and Benny had beef, it was basically the case of, he did say one stupid thing about me being on performance-enhancing drugs. Now, cocaine's not performance-enhancing.
Well, ask John Jones would disagree.
Exactly. Yeah, well, I mean, at the time, it seems like it is. Okay, I'm just going to go back to my train of thought. Apart from that, it was basically just the fact that he was a top active welterweight and I was a top active welterweight, and I was like the young, hungry guy, and I wanted to fight everybody. And anybody that wouldn't fight me, I was just like calling them all the names under the sun.
The best, yeah.
Because that was the. I mean, when you're from Perth, that's the only way to get fights. You can't sit back and be like the polite, nice guy when you're in Perth. Especially when I'm always fighting over East. I'm always like the away team. Yeah. So I had to be the bad guy. No one was going to cheer for me no matter what I did. So I might as well play the heel. So And then Benny's really impressed me lately, like going over Russia and fighting monsters and whatnot. You know what I mean? He's definitely there to fight. You know what I mean? Even though I feel like everyone that got into the UFC from that Ultimate Fighter TV show, I was like secretly like, man, that's like the easy way in. You know what I mean? And it can be frustrating. But then when he's come away from the UFC and then taken hard fight after hard fight, that's whatever. Like there's nothing to criticize there.
Yeah. Benny is a good dude.
Yeah.
It's just like,
well, yeah,
he's like you. He'll fucking speak his mind and tell you what he thinks about people. And when you've got two people that do that, there's always going to be a little bit.
I'll let a person know. And my manages Benny as well, and he's always telling me how much of a good guy he is as well. So you know what I mean. Maybe I'm wrong.
No way.
He seems like a dude.
Way.
He seems like a dude, and there's.
I think you do well training together.
Obviously, got a lot in common. Yeah.
Be good sparring for you.
Oh, definitely.
That reminds me of that.
Everyone's good sparring for me at the moment.
Even Mitchell Tinley?
No.
Mate.
Figure of speech.
We had one or two beers, and then Steve trained the next day. Fucking 10 rounds. I reckon you do that. I reckon you have a big night.
One or two beers.
You have a big night.
Let's quantify actually.
You have a big night. So then
I think my microphone's breaking up. But yeah, I very rarely have a beer. So if I did have 1 or 200 beers.
No, but that's what I reckon.
Because I am a consummate professional.
That's what I reckon you could do. Just get absolutely blackout drunk and then spar me when you're like throwing up.
Yeah.
And then beat me. But no, that's probably like. Is it hard?
Like Mitch trying to fight me off.
Yeah, no, it is scary to know that, like, if someone just goes, you know what, I'm gonna rape you, it can fucking happen. It's pretty scary.
I've never actually had that before.
No, never.
You really gotta think about it.
I mean, really, you can't rape the willing.
Is it rape if you want it?
Yeah.
Let's not go into that fucking rabbit hole.
Aren't you
logistics of consent?
Aren't you retired? Not from rape and from fighting.
But it's in you. I am semi-retired. Like when I say I'm retired, I'm not training like a fighter, and I'm not actively looking for a fight at the moment. I've had injury problems like every other athlete, has, and I'm getting older, and I've had a lot of fights and a lot of camps. So it means that I'm not actively looking for a fight. With the advent of UFC potentially coming to Perth, obviously, like
you and Sola.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sola the Hulk's probably the number one guy when you think about it. If you turn on the TV. So he's.
Would you go up to heavyweight for that fight?
Like the thing is, like I back my skills, but I have actually trained.
I've seen you fight at heavyweight, Steve.
I have fought at heavyweight.
I see you decide to do the thing of I'll let this guy tire himself out by punching me.
Yeah. As soon
And
as
then
he
I'll
just
start fighting.
treats my head like a drum for a round, he'll be exhausted. I don't think I could make Solar exhausted in a million years. I've actually trained with him, and I just feel like a stupid child. So there's, I don't know how people like. I've fought at heavyweights against guys who are like not real proper heavyweights and not super skilled. But like if you've ever trained with a proper heavyweight, it's just ridiculous. Sometimes people watch the heavyweight fights and they're like, oh, it's a bit boring, but it's like, it's awful. Like, they're so strong and so powerful, and it's just the worst.
And any punch is a knockout punch.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have to hit you. They can hit you with the shoulder and you're going home early.
We got some heavyweights on Eternal, don't we?
We've got...
I'm a bit hurt about the matchmaking prowess of Benjamin Vickers.
Oh, come on, mate.
Can't get Phil in there. Is that...
Well... I'm not going to get into the sort of politics of it all. Me and Steve have discussed what happened.
But basically, the other two went to fat chickens.
Your words.
Listen.
I think that summarizes it all.
So, but I have promised Steve that he will be he'll be sorted for the next show. I will match his.
And any other promoters across Australia listening, we've got like a gaggle of heavyweights.
Yeah, how have you got so many fucking...
I don't know.
Shame they're in your gym. Like
they gravitate
one of them
towards...
Couldn't Marcus fight Phil? They're from different gyms, Ammo and Kick-Ass.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Can we make that happen?
They do fight each other many, many times.
Why don't they just do it on the big show?
Because then everyone else gets an unfair look at them. We want to take over the world together.
Pinky in the brain.
Pinky in the brain.
Fucking...
You lost, mate. It's
No,
before your time.
No, I remember that. That was on after school. It was a bit late though. I wasn't able to watch it.
Look good in the tutu.
Yeah, over my head. But obviously, you're not here as a fighter, Steve. I'm sorry. You're here as a coach.
I am.
You've got fighters fighting on Eternal.
Yes.
Talk good about them.
Obviously, my fighters are absolutely top notch. Well prepared. No, there's a couple of exciting ones. Marcus McKeever is an exciting talent. He's a little bit older than like an up and comer.
How old is Marcus?
Marcus is 30, 31, I think.
Your age?
No,
older than that.
He's like 33.
Ish. Marcus is he's one of those guys, like, he hasn't competed in MMA as much, but he's just been around forever. He's been around MMA gyms, he's been around grappling gyms for years and years and years. And now he's making his run, you know what I mean? So even though his age is there, the experience is there, but he hasn't got a body that's been torn up by heaps and heaps of fights, so he's still able to push himself and like hang with all the young dudes in sparring. So he's one of the ones that I think very quickly in Australia he can make a run and put a few big wins together and start challenging some of the top guys. And the guy that he's fighting, Josh Togo, is from probably the hottest gym in Australia at the moment right now, American Top Team. Like, all of their guys come in, like...
Australian Top Team?
It is Australian Top Team.
Yeah. Is it American Top... Like, are they affiliated, or are they just...
Not affiliated. They're just
clever. Suman's a genius, marketing genius.
Man, and you know what? I'll tell you a story. Is like, there was a night, probably about 7 years ago, Suman, if you're listening, I was sitting in the office at the Fitness and Fight Centre planning when I was going to open my gym, and my gym was going to be called Australian Top Team, and I've got logos and everything that was going to be my name, and you stole it. Thank God I came up with Kick-Ass MMA because that's way better. But, no, definitely.
You know, Kick-Ass MMA is an interesting cam.
It's a what?
Cam. Kick-Ass MMA. Cam.
Yeah, but it's like with a K.
Yeah, but it's all right. Cam Eternal MMA.
It's
linked, mate.
I was going to call it the Kick-Ass Combat Club, but KKK was already taken. But yeah, all the ATT guys come in. They're all just like really well drilled. They're all fit as they
come to fight. That's why
always come to fight. You're never going to get an easy matchup against one of them, and that's why we don't take the easy matchups at Kick-Ass. So that's going to be a glimpse because Marcus only had the one fight.
And that was against a bit of a bum.
Yeah. It was an easy fight. Marcus only got to fight for a minute. He didn't get to show him what we'd done in the camp leading up to it. And I think this time, win, lose, or draw, we're going to show what we've done in the camp. And everyone's going to be able to know what kind of fighter Marcus is after that. Second really interesting fight is Anthony Drulich versus Mark the Shark.
Oh.
Now, if you were looking on social media and you weren't interested in wins and losses, you'd think Mark Familiari was the shit. You'd think he was like the the big dog in the yard. Yeah, but if you look at the stats and stuff like that, it's probably not the case. Anthony Drillich is another one that like his experience doesn't match his record. I think it was his first pro fight on the last.
Yes, that was his pro
last
debut.
his pro debut. So I mean, this is a kid. I remember him fighting one of my boys in Bunbury in a cage when he was 17. And
He looks
is going back 5 or
still
6
about
years.
12.
He still looks about 12.
He's
like
a beast.
he looks like a little fat Asian, and I think that's I think one of the reasons why we can get him matchups, because apart from that, no one would want to fight him because he's been around for a long time. He is as good a striker and grappler as you're going to get at this like sort of level of MMA scene. Nobody can put it on him. He's going to fight 61 kilos.
63.
63
What did he fight
kilo
last one?
Catch weight.
66.
Last one was 66,
Yeah.
okay?
He's
So
working
he's
his way down.
working his way down. This one's 63 kilos. You get a 63 kilo fighter in the gym. Doesn't matter how good they are. You ragdoll them. You do whatever you want to them because they're small. Anthony's not. You can't manage him like that. You know what I mean? You can't submit him the way that you want to submit him, and you definitely can't beat him up on the feet the way you expect to beat up someone on the feet that size. Heavy hands. And if you've seen his last fight, he looked like, me and Chris Fishgold were sitting in the corner going, man, this guy literally fights like he's as experienced as us. Like, he just not flustered whatsoever. Like, he's, if you checked his pulse, he's probably resting heart rate while he was in there. You know what I mean? Like, not flustered whatsoever. You can't buy that kind of experience. There's some guys that are really good in the gym and they go out there and they just get all flustered. Anthony Drillich is not one of those guys. So, I mean, on paper, it should be a good fight. In my eyes, it's just a brutal mismatch. I just hope the doctors are on hands and all the rest of it because Anthony Drillich is definitely one to watch. Like he's another one that could just string a few together and just be one of the top. If he can make that bantamweight, he'll be one of the top bantamweights in Australia really, really soon. Absolutely super impressive.
It's hard to match guys like him and Marcus and guys that have like better experience, but like
Well, they don't have the experience, so on paper, it's quite easy to match.
Easy enough to match, but the thing is, like, Marcus might have, another 2 wins, and then all of a sudden it gets very, very hard to match you because everyone goes, well, hang on, this guy's 3-0, but he's an absolute killer. Why should I put my boy up against him? But then, Marcus's opponent's already coming from over east, so to have someone flown in for your second fight is a good kind of judge of where he's at. You know what I mean? I mean, there are some 70-kilo fighters that would be a good matchup for Marcus, like domestically, but they've all had 6 or 7 or more fights. You know what I mean? So then you've got to gauge the experience like that. We've also got Axel Bernal, who's my French import, who's a beautiful fighter, and he's fighting David Fuller from MMA 24/7. It's an amateur fight, so it's only going to be 3 threes, but I have so much confidence in Axel. I feel like he's one of those guys who just like flies under the radar at the gym and just keeps getting better and better and better. And consistency is the king. He just keeps getting better and better and better.
He disappeared for a while. Where did he go?
We went back to Paris. France. And he trained the whole time he was there. He was training. He even went to New Zealand for a little while and trained a little bit over there at Strikeforce with Carl Weber, I believe. Which I rate that gym as one of the top gyms around as well. And then I've got Gabe Wong, who's like been my protege for a while now. So explosive power in both hands. Probably the best wrestler in bantamweight in Australian history. We'll wait and see. Good luck, Gabe.
He works hard.
And,
definitely. He was over in he was training with Joanne Calderwood in
TriStar. He was in TriStar.
Oh, he's training with Rise and GSP. He just they stopped him training with GSP because they were worried he was going to get injured. But the main event's exciting. Can we talk about the main event?
Yeah.
I've already talked a lot about the main event.
No, not really. Like, this would be the first show that we can focus on it a little bit.
King of Perth.
Yeah, so for me, like, from my point of view, as Josh is one of my guys, and I'm from the same school as Steve in that I don't match my guys easy. You know, I could fly someone in that he was going to fucking murder.
Was the guy he's going up against, did he just fight Glenn
Spark? Yeah. Glenn Spark was an impart. Brandon Rapati, going back 3 years, was like the name at light heavyweight in Australia and New Zealand. He was the guy.
He beat Sam Alvey.
Who's on
just
a
beat Rashad Evans
streak.
yeah.
He just beat Rashad Evans in the UFC. So this is getting up to that level. You know what I mean? Brandon did not look good in his comeback fight against Sam Mitchell.
Shane Mitchell.
Shane Mitchell from South Australia. Didn't look good. Looked really, really good against Glenn, but Glenn just had that bit of size and bit of wrestling over him. He's going to look better again against Josh. Now, this is Josh's boy from Perth. He's had 4 professional fights.
His first fight was against Priscus.
His first fight against Priscus Bogagnola, which is probably the other top guy at 93 kilos, you know what I mean? So Josh has not had it easy. Now, if Josh can overcome Brandon Rapati, he leapfrogs just about everyone else in that 84 kilo division here in Australia. So I know Brandon's going to look better than he did against Glenn.
So do I.
He's a devastating striker. He's a really good grappler. He won ADCC trials for Australasia a few years back. He trains with Steve Oliver, who's like Mark Hunt's BJJ coach. Oh, he's training at ATT now. Yeah. So his background, he trains with Stephen Oliver, which was Mark Hunt's team. And now he's moved over to ATT, where, like I said, they're really well drilled. Like when I coach Glenn against Suman, coaching Brandon, and Suman's advice from the corner was just absolutely on point. You know what I mean? And so I was trying to drown out a lot of what Suman was saying, because what he was saying was going to help Brandon a lot. I think, but Josh Della is one of my favourite training partners. He always gets better. Every time I come up with something to shut him down, he just evolves. And sometimes will evolve twice during a sparring session, you know what I mean? He's got a fighter's brain, and he's long, he's athletic, and he's just got...
He's got the best sparring partner other than Steve and his brother, so he's got a mirror image of himself.
Exactly.
And they can go fucking hard without hurting each other.
I don't know. I'm trying to use a word other than the C word.
Cunt.
That's the word that I'm looking for. The thing that makes Josh stand out for me is, like, not only is he a superb athlete, hard worker, respectful, but on fight night he's got just enough cunt in him to hang with the top guys. It's severely lacking. I believe I don't have it, you know what I mean? But I think Josh does have it, and I think he's one of those guys that's just like, barring injury or a bloody FIFO job or whatever it is that stands in the way of kids these days, like, Josh is one of those guys who like going straight to the top.
He did that thing where he was walking, I think it was against Matt Allen, and he was walking to the ring, like, no shirt on, fucking gang signs thrown up just before the fight, and I was like, I like that.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no doubt in his mind, even when he fought Priscus, you know what I mean?
I could tell you a story about that. We were at the venue, and Josh had drawn, it was a tournament, so Josh had drawn Priscus in the first round. And Reza and Matt Elland were fighting each other on the other side of the draw. And we were queuing up to see the doctor, me and Josh. And I think Reza came up to Josh and went, make him tired for me so that when I fight him in the final, he's worn out. And Josh was like, make him fucking tired. No, not the cunt out. And he meant every word of it. It wasn't bravado. Yeah. And then he got in the cage in his pro debut, or in his fucking MMA debut, stood in front of fucking... And probably the thing that undid him was he was so confident that he was throwing too many punches in his combinations before moving. Priscus will plod forward and take you down. But he was no fucking, in no way overawed by that experience.
He definitely doesn't show me too much respect in the old sparring.
Well, that's he does when he shakes your hand afterwards, though, and that's the thing with him. They're the nicest. Him and his brother, the nicest, most humble,
that's why they're
polite.
You know what I mean? If you have like real brashness, real arrogance, real ego, it'll just get beaten out of you, and then you're not going to be yourself anymore, and you'll be gone. But those kids are just
And they both started with losses. Like Jack lost his first 2 fights, 2 hard fights again, and Josh lost his first fight. But they're on 3-fight win streaks, and this is a huge step up for Josh. Like when I was talking to Cam about matching Josh, we were talking about some other opponents, and then Brandon's name came up, and I was like, you know what? If he's going to go where I think he's going to go, he needs to be beating people like this.
Yeah. 100%.
And we're going to find out,
And I'm sure Brandon Rapati's not going to be used as no stepping stone.
No, absolutely not. And that's what we want.
It's going to be a hell of a fight.
The boys have never shied away from fucking the challenge.
What do you think about records? Like, your record didn't obviously start super brilliant.
No,
but
I can't remember. Well, but that's the thing. It's like back in the day, it was basically whoever was around that was your weight. That's who you fought. There wasn't as many people protecting records, but there wasn't like a big pool of easy fights to choose from either. I think I lost three out of my first 5 fights. or I can't remember. I don't know. It's a long
There's
time
something
ago.
like that.
But I think I won one and then I lost two, and then I won another one and I lost again, or I might have lost two more. You know what I mean?
Were you like, it's not for me now, or were you just like, fuck it?
It wasn't that, because it wasn't competing necessarily to be like some great mixed martial arts fighter. You're just doing it because that's the sport that you practice, so it makes sense that you compete in it. But a lot of it as well was like trial by fire. It was trial and error because we didn't have like great coaches and stuff like we have now. So you were going into fights, but you weren't really prepared for the fight. You'd done a bit of kickboxing practice and a bit of BJJ practice, but then you were kind of trying to put it together on the night as opposed to having drilled all the different possible scenarios in the cage before you even walked out there. So a lot of it was just, trial and error.
Because that's how you had your first fight, wasn't it? You were a training partner.
Yeah, I was helping a guy get ready for a fight and he got injured. So everyone said, why don't you do it? I was like, what do I know about this kind of thing? And it was the most terrifying experiences in the world, but I won. It was probably the worst thing that ever happened. Because it sucked me in. I was like, yeah, I'm a badass. I can do this.
Yeah.
But, what was I going to say? No, the records can absolutely lie. Like, a lot of people look at the numbers and they think, oh, he's 8-1, he must be good. And they go, oh, he's 6-4, he must not be as good.
We've had this conversation many times.
Completely irrelevant.
Because
like Josh is 3-1. There's guys in Australia who have 20 wins and a few losses who I would happily fight before I fought Josh Della. You know what I mean? There's guys over in the States with 20-1, 20-0 records who I reckon Josh would walk through. You just can't judge anything. Unfortunately, there's a little bit too much stake in the records, and that's why.
Yeah, that's UFC's fault.
Yeah, that's why there's this culture around protecting records and stuff.
Dana White publicly came out and said, "Get your records up."
Yeah.
He didn't. He publicly came out and said, "Go out and pay."
Pretty much said, it doesn't matter who you fight as long as the numbers are there.
But now that's changed slightly, hasn't it? Because now the UFC delve a little bit into your back record.
Yeah, well, they're actually watching the fights as well. You know what I mean?
it's probably because they can now. There's more fights being filmed.
Well, and they can, but also they've got guys, like, they're in charge of it. They don't want to have mismatches and stuff for the show. They don't want to sign the wrong guys. I honestly believe that's why it was hard for me to get fights for a while, was when my record didn't look that good on paper when I was like 12-6, but everyone knew I was really good. And then that was when guys first started getting into the UFC or even into just bigger shows in the States and stuff like that. People are like, oh, well, why would we fight that guy when his record doesn't look that good on paper and he'll probably beat us when we can fight that guy who's 0-1 and they get the same result.
And now there's guys getting in, we've talked about it heaps, where you had to be like 20-5 to get in the UFC. Now you can be 4-0 and just like a good
Probably
prospect.
not 4-0.
Yeah, Tyson Pedro,
4-0.
Different that weight class, yeah.
Nah, but Tyson was like basically signed because he was vouched for. And same with Tai Tuivasa. They basically, Mark Hunt and others were kind of saying,
plus Tyson
you
won
need to sign this guy.
his UFC fights.
Yeah.
Devastating.
Yeah,
So,
and that's the thing. Tyson, because Tyson trained with Tama Tahuna, which is James Tahuna's brother, and they've got really good UFC connections. And Tyson was the guy that, like, from the beginning, like, when he first walked in the gym when he was, like, 14 or whatever, they're just like, man, this kid's going to be the one, you know what I mean? So, like, they're already waiting for him to get ready. And you get guys like that who guys are saying, this is the guy. They're ready to sign him when you say he's ready, they'll sign him, you know what I mean? Because that's what it is. It happens in America a lot as well, you know what I mean? If you get, like, what's that kid who just lost in Bellator, but it was like he was on the main event.
Yeah, the wrestling guy.
Yeah, he was like
his fucking name. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, but he got put in. He got checked out in his first fight because maybe he wasn't ready. But like they literally put him on the pay per view, the big pay per view that had Fedor and stuff on it in his first.
The New York Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
that's how Velasquez got in. Was just on a phone call like that, like a vouch.
Well, okay, so Velasquez, I know the story behind because he was at American Kickboxing Academy. He was a wrestler. He got brought into AKA because they were like, he wants to be an MMA fighter. The first day that he was there training, they were just like, this guy's going to be the UFC champion. They trained him for about 6 months. He had his first fight. They trained him for another year. He had his second fight. They trained him for another year. He had his third fight. So they were like, they literally planned his whole career from the first day, and they already knew. So when American Kickboxing Academy tells you, hey, we've got this guy, he's going to be the UFC heavyweight champion, he's ready, put him on. They put you on. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to be like, well, just get him a couple more fights first. They don't give a shit. They're not going to say give him a couple more fights first, just on the because they know that on the off chance on a small show you can get robbed or lose or cut or whatever.
Yeah.
What are you going to say, Nick?
Because there's that guy, I think you might know him. I think it's Ali, trains in Thailand, the wrestler. And and he ended up fighting on Ryzen. And they did a very similar thing. Like
he was
Mike
he
Swick-
was like a 2-time wrestling world champion.
Yeah.
And I think he's silver medalist or something.
And they chucked him into like a Thailand fight, and then he knocked the guy out in like probably like 12 seconds. And then they took like a year, trained him again type thing, and then got him, I think, the Ryzen fight. He had one more, and then he fought in Ryzen. And I think he won the first one and then lost to... Yeah, which is, you know...
Understand.
It's kind of like a good loss to have.
Japanese Kokop's pretty good. Way better than American Kokop. When Soa came back from AKA, when he was just training at AKA towards the end of his
the Thailand one,
career, a few years ago, AKA Thailand, Mike switched him, and he came back and he was like, man, there's this guy Amir there, and he's just like absolutely ridiculous. He's like, he goes, there's no scarier human being on the planet than this, and so was UFC anyway. What was I going to say? So he was like literally saying this guy's a monster. Nav is a friend of ours, is a wrestler, and he follows the wrestling scene quite closely. And he was just like, he's Iranian, this guy, and he was like, he is ridiculous. Like you see photos of the guy in his wrestling singlet, and he's just like absolute monster. He's been disqualified for life from freestyle wrestling. He's never allowed to compete in freestyle wrestling again because of steroids. But he could definitely fight Japan.
Steroids is a weird one, like, because in MMA, it's very like...
We're going to talk about John Jones.
Yeah, pinged. Fucking may as well. But like, it gets brushed over a little bit. In any other sport, you're done for fucking life. Like cycling, wrestling in Olympics.
That was crazy. I remember Sean Shirk getting done.
Yes.
And Sean Shirk was one of those guys where you're just looking at him and he's just like ridiculous cardio for 5 rounds, picking up guys in the same weight class like they were children, slamming him, and he was just winning every fight by sheer physicality. You know what I mean? He was a good wrestler, but at the end of the day, like, he was just too physical for his opponents. Guys like Kenny Florian and Hermes Franco, even though Hermes tested positive after their fight as well.
Isn't he in fucking jail now?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think Hermes Franco's in jail for child molestation or something.
Oh, yeah, well, that'll get you in jail. Yeah, be pretty clever.
Pretty sure.
On that one. So, you know, you looked at someone like Sean Shirk and you're just thinking, surely to God, he's on something. Anyway, sure enough, he gets tested. It tests positive, right? He gets suspended for 6 months. Now, a lot of these top fighters fight 2 to 3 times a year.
Yeah.
So if you're fighting twice in a year, that's 6 months apart. So you're basically getting suspended until your next fight would have been scheduled anyway. 6 months. It's insane. And there's almost like, and that's the worst case scenario that you do get caught. So it's almost like everybody's, and then obviously subsequent positive tests, and it's a longer suspension. But it's like almost saying like, hey guys, you got 1 free pass to try and dodge out the system. Let's see how you do.
Right, here's one.
And they give you a list of all the things that they've done. They've got your whereabouts and stuff like that. So you know the guys are pretty smart. So if you feel like your whereabouts, you can just be like, well, these are all my whereabouts. This is where I am. Every time I'm not going to test positive, I'm just not going to be in those places. And then
you can hide under the ring like John Jones did.
But, there's all sorts of things that can happen. So, the 6 month suspension is ridiculous.
How many guys do you reckon are on stuff in Australian MMA?
Australian MMA? I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Well, more to the point, there might be plenty of guys that are on stuff. I honestly don't think there's that many Australian MMA fighters who are on drugs that are really going to help them in terms of fighting. You know what I mean? Like, they might take a bit of testosterone to make them a bit stronger, but it's going to make them heavier, it's going to make them harder to make the weight, it's going to make them gas out quicker, you know what I mean?
I think it's money. Like, these guys have got the money to have a doctor say, right, this is the exact stack you need to fight.
Exactly.
And then this is what you need to take so that they can't find it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they used to say the GSP spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on his camps, and you're just thinking, well, probably a lot of that is these sports scientists and sports medicine doctors and stuff like that. Even like, I always thought about this, right? So they're telling you, if your levels of testosterone are over this point, then you're cheating. So what athlete at that level would not make sure that his levels were at least at the top of that range? You know what I mean? Like, And they have to make that range large because they got to be like, oh, well, you know, guys like Czech Congo, they have naturally super high testosterone, so we can't flag him for being, you know, just for having high testosterone. So the range will be really high. Normal white dudes don't have like super high testosterone. But if you're fighting that level and making all that money, you've got to make sure your levels are like right at the top, especially when it's all the doctors there. There's a whole industry based around it.
Yeah, I watched the doco, I think it's Icarus or something. It was about the Russian, you know how all the Russians got popped and they like got kicked out of the Olympics?
Their track and field team or something.
Like, it was like about the guy that legit like made all that happen. And like Putin like ticked off on it and shit. And it was just like,
Absolutely it did, you know, because that just brings like greatness to the country. One thing that they do in like Olympic sports, which I don't know if I don't think they do it in MMA unless they think they have a reason to. But they have an A sample and a B sample. Like I think in MMA, like USADA and stuff like that, they test the B sample if the A sample comes back positive.
Yes, correct.
But in Olympic sports and stuff like that, they keep all the B samples and they continually run tests in subsequent years as new testing becomes available. So you might take a drug and win a gold medal in the year 2000 and nothing can detect that drug. But the year 2017, they have a new test, and then all of a sudden they can go back and say, you test positive for this drug in the year 2000, you're not the gold medalist anymore. So, like, at least that's a ginormous deterrent. You know what I mean? It's not
to John Jones.
Yeah, well, it's not the best when you're like, they call you up 17 years later and they say, oh, turns out you were actually the gold medalist, so you can just throw that silver medal away and we can present you with the gold medal. You're like, oh, well, kind of life's taken a downward turn since I won that silver medal.
I think that happened.
You can't take the millions of dollars off of the other person.
That happened to some like marathon runner for Australia, where like all the Chinese and the Russians got done. It was legit like 10, 12 years later. And
and he was like the 5th place guy.
And he was like, here's a medal. And they threw like a parade in like Gold Coast, and it was just like 7 people there.
Yeah.
It was just like
no one cares anymore.
Yeah, but I've always wondered that when it comes to obviously Australian MMA, like. Obviously, the money's not there to be able to pay for all those drugs, but at the same time, if you for some reason did have that money, you could do it and you could make a whole career. But how much would that affect your career?
But you could spend the money easier on opponents. You could just choose the right opponents for that same money, and because like I can
less probably.
Yeah, for a lot cheaper, and that does happen. So it happens a lot in boxing. Say I want to build my record up, and you've had 3 wins and 1 loss. And there's no way in the world that you should fight me. But if I say, we'll pay you $5,000, you'll be like, hey, what do I get to lose? It's $5,000, right? And then I beat you, and so I get a win up. And then this guy over here, his record's 62, but he's on a bit of a downward slope. Or the other thing that happens is he might be 8-1, he might be a promising fighter, but we call him up 2 weeks before the show. And we say, oh man, look, we need you to fill in short notice, we'll pay you $10,000. And he's like, man, I'm not in shape. I shouldn't be fighting, but I can't say no to that money.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden he's going to go ahead and say yes, bust his ball to make an unrealistic weight, take the loss. He's not going to give you a rematch with a full camp. You know what I mean? So that sort of thing happens a lot in boxing. That's how you see records like 35-0 in boxing, and then the guy will still fight the world champion and get made look like a punk, and you're just like, but he was 35-0. How can there be such a disparity in levels? And I'm like, well, there's a disparity in levels because his 35-0 is a lot more official than the champion's 40-3 or whatever it is.
Yeah, the boxing I know is a big thing. Like, if you lose your O early in boxing, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, whereas in MMA, it's not.
You become the opponent. There's a post-fight interview. I think it was a Mexican boxer lost a really controversial decision in America and Texas, and he just starts going off, and he's just like, "You just told my whole career away from me. Now I'm the opponent."
Malinaji had an interview like that.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas he got robbed in decision in another state. And
This is why no one's going to come here for the thing.
That was
Malinaji. That was my career, and you've just taken it all away from me. You know what I mean?
Weird.
He's still talking 10 years later.
Yeah.
It's crazy though that it's just like your record like that low is so fucking.
And especially like if a split decision in boxing basically just means like some people think you won, some people think you lost. It depends on the camera angles and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? You boxed 12 rounds, and 3 judges couldn't even separate you by 1 round. You know what I mean? Like it's as close as you can get. Like everyone's got their opinion on, oh, that guy won or that guy won. But at the end of the day, you can watch a match 100 times and have 37 different outcomes. You know,
Yeah, for sure. And then
you can literally go, oh yeah, I think he edged it. Oh no, I think it's a draw. I mean, there should be a lot more draws, to be honest. I reckon whenever there's like a razor close decision, how can you give it to one guy and not the other guy? Or they should have a sudden death round.
Yeah, do you reckon?
I also think judges should have like silent things.
Yeah, so the crowd can't go.
Because the crowd will sway McGregor's crowd will sway any judges. Like every time he lands a shot, it's gonna light up the whole arena. Whereas Mayweather's crowd won't make the sort of noise that the Irish are going to be making.
Did you watch Horn versus Pacquiao?
Yeah.
Did you what? Like, was that the similar thing where
they're going to rematch that? I think they signed it.
They have signed that. There was a rematch clause before the fight even took place. If Horn was to win, they were going to get a rematch. Now, I watched the fight. I was just like, man, Jeff Horn did exactly the right thing. Like, I mean, he couldn't have done his job any better to like nullify Pacquiao's game and to make it contested fight over. If you do go and count all the clean shots and all the not, which you can't do while you're judging, you might be able to build a case that, oh, okay, Pacquiao should have won that fight. But from watching the fight, Horn was more aggressive, threw more punches, and just looked like the dominant fighter for the majority of the fight. Pacquiao looked like the sharper boxer, and he never looked flustered or bothered by Horn's punches. But you can't say, oh, that was a robbery. You know, you can't watch that fight. You cannot watch it, then turn around and say that was a robbery. In no sport in the world is that a robbery. That Teddy Atlas or whatever that came around and goes,
oh, he's fucking insane.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Pacquiao, you can tell a lot from body language. When they read out that Horn won the fight, he reacted exactly like the loser reacts. He went, because he knew that if he wanted to win that fight, especially in Gold Coast, because there is such a thing as a hometown decision, and if it's a 50-50 fight, usually the hometown boy wins it. Pacquiao knew that if he wanted to win that fight, he should have done more. He really tried to finish that fight in the 9th round when he hurt him, and that's why he lost rounds 10-11, because he didn't have enough left after giving everything to finish him in the 9th round. And the reason he gave everything in the 9th round is because in his mind he knew he had to finish. You know, he could have just taken that 9th round and went on to try to win 10 and 11, but he didn't think it was going to be enough. So yeah, let's talk about John Jones.
It
just baffles me. Like, what's he fighting? The thing that baffles me about John Jones, he doesn't need to fucking do it.
You know what they reckon? He's one of his training partners or coaches released something and said something that what he got pinged for was an oral steroid after the weigh-in. And he goes on this big rant going like, why the fuck would you, because he got tested so much pre, so why would you have a clean camp and then do that just before? He's claiming like set up and all that sort of shit, but I mean, why would you take something on weigh-in, like a steroid weigh-in?
Psychological thing.
But also, the whole thing of steroids, or one of the main reasons that fighters would take steroids, is so they can recover through training camp.
Yeah.
To get the next training session in. But with him, it's just it's beggars belief, because he could beat everyone without fucking training. You know, he's that freak. But has he just got it into his head that that's what he needs to do now?
I think so. I think it could be that. I mean, we can't really speculate anymore until it actually comes through and it gets fully done and he gets suspended or whatever. But the fact of the matter is there's a lot of guys that fight and there's not that many USADA flags, you know what I mean? When someone does get flagged, I mean, very rarely is it nothing, you know what I mean? And the fact that he didn't go out of his way to make sure this was absolutely 100% clean, you know what I mean? And he's got the people around him. If you're some guy from Australia and you get some protein powder that's got a bit of something in it to give you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that pops out, that's completely understandable. But like, USADA gives you this massive list of everything you can and can't take. And you telling me, if you're John Jones, you're going to just like not take care of what you put in your body, especially after the weigh-ins. Yeah,
it's a business. It's literally his business. His
but that's him. If he fails this drug test, he's done. He's got to be done, right?
Is it his second?
They said yes, and they said he'll face a 4-year suspension if he's probably
just taken to like 32.
Yeah, and that'll be it.
Once you pass 32, it's all over.
He probably will go to the WWE or something. But what about Daniel Cormier?
See, now he's even
fucking lifeline, isn't he?
But now is he even less of a champ in everyone's minds?
I don't think so.
He is. John Jones cheated both times, probably. But Daniel Cormier is definitely the second best light heavyweight fighter in the world.
Yeah.
And in one of the top divisions. Like, John Jones was, like, in my mind, after that fight with Cormier, the number one pound-for-pound MMA fighter of all time.
Ever. Yeah, ever.
And then this happens. And then you're like, well, you can go to Daniel Cormier. It's like we were talking about with the Olympic medals. You can go to Daniel Cormier and say, oh, John Jones cheated. Here's your belt. How does he recover from that? Like, you could see by his face the crime and all the rest of it. He put every ounce of himself into that fight, and he got knocked out.
It's crazy. Like, he could win that. He could go win the heavyweight belt and have them both at the same time, and they're still.
Yeah,
you got a head kick.
You know what I mean? It's like, what do you do, and how much does it take out of you? And I know as a fighter, it would be like long term, it would be a little bit of a soothing feeling of like, oh, okay, the only guy that ever beat me was sort of like a drug cheat. But as of right now, I don't think him finding out that John Jones tested positive would give him any kind of boost to recover from that massive just fallout that he's just had of losing that title. Because when you put everything into something and it's gone, you just go into that deep hole and just they can't turn around and say, oh, you know, we changed our mind, you're the champion, and then you actually just feel good and strong and normal again. You know what I mean?
How much of an effect is like him getting knocked out? Do you reckon that will affect his like going forward? Because it's like, yeah, he got knocked out. Normally that can hinder a future performance, but does he go? But it was like the steroids that knocked me out. Like how?
No, that's the thing. Like, whether the fact that John was still able to throw with power after all those like furious exchanges, maybe that was a little bit of drugs if he was on drugs. But at the end of the day, he got clean with the high kick, like with the shin. Perfect timing, perfect placement. No one would have stood up to that, you know what I mean? What can you do, you know?
So it's like it ruins both. It ruins John Jones.
It's literally ruined John Jones' legacy. It's ruined the entire light heavyweight division.
Yeah.
And it's probably ruined Daniel Cormier's career.
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier could have been pound for pound the best fighter in history. You don't know because he was legitimately there as a heavyweight. And then he's come into light heavyweight and he's lost to absolutely no one.
He's undefeated as a heavyweight too. Yeah.
Except John Jones. And then John Jones has got that asterisk next to his name. And it's kind of, you know what, who else? All us fans get robbed as well because then there's something amazing about witnessing greatness. You know what I mean? It's like when you witness Roger Federer playing tennis or,
yeah,
I don't know, Michael Jordan playing basketball. You're just like, I am looking at the best version of this sport that's ever happened. And that's what we saw with John Jones against Cormier. And I think everyone was like excited and united about it. Well, we don't care about the hit and run. We don't care about the drugs. We just got to see the best mixed martial artists in the history of the world. And then it just starts making you imagine, like, who's going to be better than John Jones? Like, who's going to come through and take the game to a level above than what we've just seen?
Yeah.
And now it's just taking that all away from us. So now we're just like, well, I don't know, I guess Demetrius Johnson's the pound.
Because it's funny, because he's still...
Who cares about Demetrius?
He's still the man, like, he's still the best.
He's the best
like,
player that's ever lived,
but
and that's the thing. Like, if you look at his record, it's like the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it literally is. They will induct them like going up.
Yeah.
But fucking, how do you even?
Depressing.
It is. Hey,
I get sad just.
Your status was like I woke up and that was the first thing I think because that's the first thing I do. I check out what Steve's doing. No, but I woke up and I was like, fuck.
What do you mean, John Jones is going to rise? Why would
I was like, well, as soon as you said it, I knew. When you said Ryzen, I was like, oh fuck, what did he test for?
The first link that I saw was like one of those sites where you just like. You know,
it's probably
like a bit dodgy,
crap, and it was like whatever. But then people commenting and talking about it. I was like, surely not. And I scrolled down my newsfeed and just like every single post was just like, John Jones, why have you done this to me? Someone sent me a message like, oh, I want John when I die, I want John Jones to lower the coffin so he can let me down one last time.
I was sat with Ash from Engage in his office. We were having a chat. He was going to show me something on Facebook. And he's put Facebook on, and the top thing said, John Jones test positive. And I was like, that's a fake fucking headline, surely. And then we scrolled down, and his whole Facebook was just, John Jones test positive.
People don't understand.
How good's Engage Fightwear, by the way?
Oh, mate. Eternal's official sponsor.
Top quality stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
Got myself a new pair of gloves from Ash the other day. Still waiting on some shin pads, but hey.
You're taking over the game.
Engage is good, and you know what? He's
one of the boys.
He's one of the boys. He's here to support it. You know, he's thrown a lot of money at fighters, not necessarily physically, financially, but a lot of kit, a lot of support.
Yeah.
He's a good dude, loves MMA,
Yeah.
makes good kit. He's very proud of the quality of his.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
like he's getting cheap shit manufactured in China.
Yeah, trying to make a move.
He's trying to build a brand that's going to be there to last.
And I think he Gage Fightwear is definitely the brand for the future.
You want to fucking... Did he say? My name. I'll give you $10 every time you drop engage.
Nah, I just don't want anyone going to the body MMA fight still.
Oh, who we getting to that? Beef? No?
There's no beef. I just the margins are too high for my like.
Now Steve's a businessman, see?
Yeah.
He's got his own... How's the gym going?
Profit
Talk
loss, baby.
us through the gym.
My gym, Kick-Ass MMA.
In the City Fitness?
Yeah,
Is
in
it?
City Fitness. Yeah, we just took over.
Catherine Street, Morley.
Yeah, Catherine Street. You got to pronounce your words, Mitchell. Yeah, well, basically,
The fucking media man.
that was a boxing gym in Morley, Inner City Fitness, and I had my MMA gym, Kick-Ass MMA, and we've kind of, taken it over and refitted
Cam.
it out. Kick-Ass MMA.
Camera.
Camera.
Please call it camera.
No, well, it's just nice.
Camera, that will
Kick-Ass
piss us
MMA. So yeah, basically
Camera.
we've refitted the whole gym. We've got heaps of cool coaches in, and the gym's pumping. It's going really well. So hopefully.
And have you got people fucking nailed onto Diet David, Stephen Kennedy?
man,
We've been having this
doing
conversation
it's
for
worked out. You know what I
many
mean? Like,
years.
At the end of the day, like it is hard to, when your gym's your hobby and your passion, and obviously you're trying to make it into a business as well, but the way the gyms turn out when you start trying to make them into bloody a profitable gym. They end up losing their fibre. So
I think you can
yourself,
keep
it's
it.
a balancing act.
You can keep it. It's just hard. You just got to work
It's
it.
a balancing act to keep your actual, your integrity and your core and your guys and keep everyone happy and keep the training real. Because, guaranteed if you ran like a MMA fundamentals class for the masses, you'd get a lot more people in there. But
Well, there is a lot of examples of gyms with programs such
Exactly,
as that are fucking way busier than either of our two gyms.
yeah, 100%. And then, and people just don't know any better.
But
so-
I know for a fact if someone wearing an MMA Clinic t-shirt fucking gets seen fucking doing something boxing wise or grappling wise, they're going to be doing generally the right thing.
Yeah,
they're not going to
100%.
embarrass the fucking sport.
I just wish there was a way that we could kind of show the masses that quality is actually important. You know what I mean? They'll be like, oh, but
that's-
Jets has got fitness boxing, and that's 5 minutes closer.
And it's
like,
$5 a week
yeah.
cheaper. But that's true of everything. People buy cheap shit all the time because it's cheaper. It's like, oh look, that looks like that, but it's like $50 cheaper. I'm going to buy that one, and then in fucking 6 months' time, that's broken. But if you would have spent the $50, you'd have had that. And I think people in life are like that. Everyone wants a bargain.
Yeah, but I think the cream will rise to the top eventually.
It
That's
will.
what I have absolute faith in. You know what I mean?
It will 100%.
The difference is, you'll get your local gym who decide they just want to try some do some martial arts, and they'll get some coach into it, and they'll turn over. The turnover will be huge. They'll pump money in advertising. They'll get people in, and those people leave, more people come in. Those people leave, more people come in. People tend to trickle into gyms like ours, the fighters' gyms, but once they're in, they tend to stay.
Yes, that's
because
correct.
they know that it's
100%.
like the place they want to be.
And do you know what? There's a gym parallel to me. There, he does weapons training and mixed martial arts and all kinds of stuff. And
Why are we here?
I like the fact that he's there because people might go there and go, "Oh, this was okay, but it's a bit watered down." The MMA clinic's there, and they've got fighters and stuff, and then they might come.
Human weapons.
Yeah, I think some of these people that start in Jets doing the punch fit classes, they might go, "Oh, I wouldn't mind doing a bit of boxing," and they realise that that's not really boxing.
Yeah.
And then they might start trickling into and I think the UFC coming here would be huge for our business.
Yeah. We'll probably get 1 million competitors pop up overnight. But yeah, no,
But they'll do all the marketing for the sport. But before they come in, they'll hit it hard. Every time someone logs onto Facebook, it's going to be UFC, MMA, and it might just push, another 20, 30.
It was fucking hard to find a gym 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Now they're fucking everywhere. Now it's finding a good gym.
Yeah.
That's difficult. But I mean,
Well, I was saying that we had a session the other night, and it was we just had a really, really good grappling session followed by a really good striking session, and everybody in the room was talented. And I said to one of my mates, Hilton, and Hilton coaches at Combat Arts Academy.
Old Hilton Silver.
And we've trained together for probably 12 years, like since we started training together. And I just looked at him and I was just like, man, don't you wish we had this back in the day? You know what I mean? You've got the same thing. You've got a place where like everything's under one roof. Like there's no reason why, you know, unless you really wanted to go and do some like very specific strength and conditioning or something, there's no need for anyone to ever come anywhere but here. They can run here, they can lift weights here, they can do boxing here, gymnastics here, bloody Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they can drop the kids off, the missus can do a fitness class, that everything's here, they can buy their gloves here and everything crazy. Well, back in the day when I started training, it would be like, oh, we'll go to the MMA gym on Monday and we'll do a bit of this and a bit of that. But then Tuesday we'll go to the Thai boxing gym, and then Fridays was always wrestling day in Claremont, and then we'll meet up on Saturday and we'll just try to bash each other with whatever we can come up with, you know what I mean? And like, you know, there wasn't it's evolved so fast. We didn't even have YouTube and stuff like that back in those days. You couldn't even watch quality fights.
I had a bit of a thing. The lads were fucking slacking off a little bit, and you know, it goes fits and spurts, and and I sat them down and I went, you don't know how lucky you are. We had a blue belt in our gym back in the day, and we thought we were fucking unstoppable. We had one fucking mat. We didn't have any
told you to do hip escapes for now. You were doing hip escapes for now.
We didn't have any fucking cage. We didn't have a thing. We just had mats and fucking walls, and that was it. You've got fucking black belts. You've got fucking world champion fucking kickboxers. Top facilities, you've got fucking everything done for you here, and you're still not fucking.
I was just it is hard. It's hard to go. Well, how can I have a centre like this and not have it full 6 days a week? Like, what is wrong with people? You know what I mean? Because Fridays are a bit quiet, so everyone goes, "Oh, I'll just miss Friday." Why would you miss Friday?
Friday used to be the day.
That's like the consolidation day where you just bring everything together.
Keep you out of the
But you finally got like a place. Like before, Kick-Ass was killing it, and you had a room with some mats.
Padded walls.
It literally looked like an asylum.
Cell,
You should have called it
that.
that. But now you can come, and if no one rocks up for a day class, you can do weights. Or like, you know what I mean? There's like that. You've almost got
it's a
facility.
And like you know, Ben was saying with the coaches, like, you know, you've literally got an expert in every single different thing there almost all the time, and people don't ask questions. So you're like, man, are you kidding me? Like, I would just be racking their brain all the time, begging for.
But that is actually like, right, because he's right here. But that's why Steve was so good to train with, because he always had like, he had a black belt in this, and if you had a question about this, he had a black belt in that, and he had a black belt in that, and you could always answer every fucking question. But now there's facilities around that literally just have all those coaches in one fucking spot. And I mean, you remember FFC, like that was, you had all your fucking training partners, all your fighters, but if you were starting MMA, it was quite scary. Like if you were just, because basically a fucking.
No, but that's it. I remember like FFC, obviously, like we had a wicked group, and I think Brian Emerson came to FFC, and I brought Jogo there, who was the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach, right? So yeah, and obviously it was already a really good Thai boxing gym. Like you had like Ron Parr, Daniel Dawson, Oliver Olsen was there. Like it was like the Thai boxing there was already ridiculous. They brought in MMA through Brian and Jiu-Jitsu through Jogo. Again, but the classes that we used to do were borderline rubbish. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, like, the kickboxing was basically just like a 2-hour-long cardio workout. A lot of knee in the bags, a lot of kick in the bags. The partner work wasn't sharp like we would do. Like, they kind of did have us doing partner work, but it wasn't really explained, like, how, why, or what we were doing. But what it did do, having all those things, was, like, everybody who was motivated to become a mixed martial arts fighter ended up there. Because they were like, well, they've got the best trainers and that, so we're going to go there. So basically what we did was we took the things that they gave us, and then we said, all right, boys, let's get good at this. And so everybody was working out. And most of the amazing sessions that we had was like on our own time, you know what I mean? Like we would meet up like 2 hours before class or after class. We were like, all right, let's wrestle. And then we'd really get after each other. That's one thing that shits me about nowadays. Like, I feel like we're running really, really good classes, and then as soon as the classes finish, everyone's like, sweet God. I'm like, really?
I'm a bit the other way around. Is like, what shits me is that the guys turn up half an hour early, and they stand around fucking talking.
Yeah.
Like, spend that half an hour before the class drilling. Go over something that we did last week. So I always walk out and I go, "Are you fucking experts, are you?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" And they're laying there fucking tickling their fucking mate's balls and we're chatting. I'm like,
They won't do anything.
You got
unless
fucking
step by
triangled
step.
10 times
Yeah.
fucking yesterday, and you're sat here fucking tickling Joe Bloggs' balls. Fucking drill fucking
It used to be
triangles.
like that when Steve wouldn't rock up for a class because he'd be working or something and someone else would have to take over and no one would show up. Like at the old key, like no one would, because it was like, Steve's not here, what do we do? And it's just like,
That happens with me. Sometimes I'm away or something and the classes just go,
Yeah.
oh, we'll have a night off because fucking Ben's not here.
It's ridiculous, eh? It's just like, you know, or like everyone would be drilling and you'd be like coaching and everything's sweet, and then you walk out to the next room, and then you walk back in, everyone's like,
Yeah.
just okay. If you're listening to the podcast, I just kind of stood there with an expressionless look on my face, not doing anything. Because that's what happens.
I used to get frustrated. I'd be teaching, and he'd show, right, I want you to drill this, fucking show the move. Guys would do it 2 or 3 times and then sit there talking. It's like, no, you drill it until I tell you to stop drilling it and fucking do something else. But you could see the ones that were going to make it.
Oh,
because they just drill over and over.
And then you say, all right, guys, next one, and they're still drilling. You have to go, guys.
or you look around and there's the other extreme. There's 2 people fighting because they
Yeah,
got bored of drilling.
One to the next,
Yeah.
the next.
It's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's good to know that the problems are universal.
But that's a massive problem. Is exactly what you said. It's like the new generation that just don't know how good they've got it.
Yeah, us old fellas like
back in my day.
Yeah, these fucking youngsters, man, they ain't got a fucking clue.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Ben and I obviously aren't that old.
Right,
But the evolution that we've seen since we've been involved in the sport is just absolutely insane. You know what I mean? Like literally, and next year will be different again. You know what I mean? Like,
It is pretty insane.
It's blown up. It's blown up.
We used to think you had to train in the gi.
It's actually my favourite thing to do at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's good for like
It's a
happy,
sport.
happy old man rolling.
Yeah, it's a fucking
and, like,
sport. I enjoy the
you
sport.
You can get real tricky with the gi, which is fun. But
Plus, it's fucking slower. Like, I'm not as fucking mobile as I used to be. And I fucking grab you.
Yeah.
Give me fucking 10 seconds to catch my breath and carry on. But I actually really enjoy the sport of jiu-jitsu, but I understand the limitations of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but if you had a fight 6 weeks, you probably wouldn't be doing good jiu-jitsu.
No, and I think that's why my guys will be at your place tonight.
Oh, the Wednesday,
Yeah.
Cool.
I think some of them are going to skip the gi and fucking come down and get punched in the face.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I like about this state is that there's a few of us that we all work together, and you know.
Oh, 100%.
And we fight each other. Like, my guys have fought Marcus's guys. My guys have fought your guys. It's always funny looking across at Steve when he's got a fucking angry face on him.
Try not to laugh.
It's always fucking funny being in the middle and looking and seeing you, and then turning there's Steve there, and you're
that's
like,
that's a goal thing. Like, if the goal of your guys is to be like the toughest gym in Perth, Western Australia, then probably do keep yourselves and not fight each other. But if you just want your guys to be the best they can possibly be, then you're only anything you say no to is just going to limit them. So if I say, oh, don't train with those guys because, you know, this little 61 kilo guy might fight his 61 kilo guy on a show next year sometime, that's the most preposterous.
And for me, it's like there's no fucking like hidden move that someone knows and someone doesn't.
Exactly.
It's like you're not going to learn something groundbreaking that would change your whole fucking MMA.
Yeah.
You're going to go there and just get a different look at something that you don't.
And if you did
get.
find a new pressure point that was just going to disable any human, you wouldn't show your guys either because you just keep using it on them when they got too good.
Oh, I tell you now, it's depressing. It's like all the guys are beating me up with the shit that I taught them fucking years ago. I'm like, fuck.
And
Yeah,
you're trying all your stuff, and you're like, it doesn't.
Yeah,
work.
they know
It's
it
like,
now.
We'll be doing it
Yeah.
to each other.
and they're better at me than it.
Yeah.
Which is, as a coach, that's what I've always wanted is for the guys to fucking surpass me. And like, I don't really train anymore, I'll be honest. Like,
No,
as a
exactly.
combat sports
Yeah.
athlete, I'm not.
Well, that's why, like Dean, he's like super athletic, right? So I feel like he's just
Dean Abramo?
Yeah, Dean Abramo. I feel like he's just me in a better body now.
Yeah.
Everything he does is so similar to what I do. He's just body's way better. So it's just like when I try to wrestle him, I'm like, I can't do anything because he's just stronger.
do you like that your career was when it was, or would you rather it now, like being younger now?
You'd like to start now and just and see how good you can.
I'm so
really
much
get.
better now than I was when I was fighting. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I know so much
you
more.
know, but like,
But-
so imagine if you were like,
But my body
18
isn't.
with your work ethic,
Yeah.
with all this like
Yeah,
training and
100%.
stuff.
But it probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't
Like,
for guys like yourselves.
You know, it's like saying, well, who
Everything's
would
always
fight
evolving.
Muhammad Ali or Anthony Joshua? And it's just like, well, Anthony Joshua would win because Muhammad
Look at
Ali
him.
had no idea what was going on because boxing, no one knew what was going on. Like, he was just winging it. And now it's getting pretty scientific, and in 20 years' time, it's going to be more scientific, and you get
there's-
better athletes and better freaks.
There's a program on Netflix with Michael Johnson does this documentary on the evolution of like
UFC
athletes.
fighter Michael Johnson?
No,
Runner?
runner,
Oh,
American
yeah.
runner. And he's got a performance institute in America now. But he's like he's been researching sort of, Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile in 1960 or something like that. And now there's
you do it
fucking
for
thousands of people that can break that. But at the time, it was like groundbreaking stuff. And just he's looking into whether it's genetics or whether it's science or, but you look at world records now and the person that won the world record in 1950 wouldn't even qualify for the final of the 100 metres nowadays,
Nah, even look at bodybuilders. I mean, a lot of it's drugs, I think. But, like, we always get better.
Well, just look at MMA. Look at guys are genuine mixed martial artists now, whereas before, even in the Matt Hughes era, he was a grappler.
Yeah.
Who added stand up to his game, whereas now guys like Rory McDonald was
at the
first.
time, we used to watch guys like like Matt Hughes. We used to watch BJ Penn. Chuck Liddell.
BJ Penn can't hang now.
Well,
I know
but you used to
he's not
watch
even that
those
old.
guys, and you just be bewildered. Like, how can anybody be so awesome? And now you watch him.
Everybody's that awesome.
Man, he's pretty shit. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
The
his
evolution.
all right, but he's strong, but he's got crap hands and this and that.
The evolution of the game is fucking.
Is it weirder for you?
That armbar that Matt Hughes hit on GSP, I remember.
run around.
I remember back in the day, just be like, "Oh my god, that is like literally perfect. Like nobody could do it." And now, like, man, he literally almost stood up and just.
But also, what's GSP doing, holding on to Kimura?
I know. It's like those were the best guys in the world at the time, and I'm just.
And now even your beginners wouldn't do that.
That's all wrong.
So, Steve, the finish to your career, your last 2 UFC fights, was it a fucking anticlimax for you? Were you devastated by it? Or?
Which one? Well,
Hey Steve, you having
UFC,
fun? Let's talk about.
Let's ask a fucking pertinent question.
You read that? I wrote a pretty long article.
I did read it, and it was fucking brilliant.
Broke my heart.
It's just like it wasn't necessarily anticlimactic. Like I trained for 11 weeks for that fight, which is a solid camp, but I wasn't training before that. You know what I mean? So I was literally like, I'm going to do the best I can in these 11 weeks. And
The Richard Walsh fight.
yeah, the Richard Walsh fight. And I never in my life thought that I was going to lose that fight. Like, I've watched Richard Walsh fight, and I'm just like, man, I'm just going to eat him alive. You know what I mean? So, like, my confidence was up here, but my preparation didn't match.
You said you didn't train the way that you've always trained.
Yeah, because I used to never stop. I'd just be like, every day I'd be wrestling and sparring and wrestling and sparring. And then the camp was just strength and conditioning to get extra fit, just to wrestle and spar even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then for that, I had this condition, this ankylosing spondylitis, and I was basically crippled. And then
You had to quit your job.
Hey?
Like driving around. You
I
had to quit.
couldn't drive, I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. And then, the guys at Body Genius got me to a position where I was able to wrestle and spar again. So I did the best I could do with 11 weeks. Richard Walsh just put it on me for the first second, and I never even got settled. I was super nervous. I just absolutely had the worst experience of my life in the cage. And I didn't go away from that fight going, oh man, that, I wasn't, sometimes you can lose, but you're just like, oh man, I fucking gave it a crack. I just literally was just like sad because I was like, man, everyone just like watch me. Everyone's gonna just think that I'm the shittest fighter, but that was not a very good reflection of me.
Oh, it was horrible. I was sitting there by myself in Etihad, and obviously the fight wasn't a blockbuster.
Yeah.
Everyone was booing, and I'm like, guys, no, stop it. It's like
really
way
good,
better. It's really good. And I was like,
really
I was the only one like, come on, Steve, and everyone's like, boo.
Yeah, but then at the end of the day, that was just like, it was just one little moment of a long thing. You know what I mean? Like when you look back, you're like, man, you never started MMA because you were like, I'm going to go to the UFC, you know what I mean? And then, it just happened to happen. When I took that fight in Berlin on short notice, that's when I was really like crippled with the ankylosing spondylitis. And my manager was saying, look, I don't think we should take this one because, short notice, like, it was number one. At the time, I was number one in welterweight and middleweight in Australia. So he's like, you're going to get the UFC, no matter what. But I thought that my fighting days were over. You know what I mean? Because I could hardly move. So I was just like, man, if I just say yes to this, at least I can say, oh, you know.
Was that the Peter Sabota one?
Yeah, the one in Germany. So I was just like, yeah, let's do it. And I hadn't trained for months before.
But that's your mentality too. You're like,
Didn't you call me and you said, I met a mate of yours at the UFC in Germany, Ricky. You said he let me out for a cigarette or something like that. I was like, Steve,
yeah, he did. He took me out for a cigarette, even though he wasn't supposed to. He was a good dude.
Ricky's a good friend of mine.
Yeah,
before the fight or after?
Yeah, I met some mad people after the fight. I met some wicked people over there. You know what I mean? Like fucking Forrest Griffin was there, Dan Hardy was there. Like it was just like it was just awesome. JJ.
That
good
watching
times.
you in fucking Melbourne, that just the weight cut in general. That was my first being around a
you were
fucking
filming
weight
it,
cut. My God, that was where I was like, everyone's like, oh, I want to be a fighter. That was the point where I'm like, this is what they have to watch.
But the weight cut, honestly, like if I did that exact weight cut right before weigh-in and then just weighed in and then rehydrated, it wouldn't have been that bad of a cut. It was just the fact that I did it the night before. You know, and then I just lay there for 6 hours just like a skeleton, you know what I mean? Because what
Why did you do it the night before?
We'll get picked up at 7 a.m. to go to the weigh-ins, and I was just like, I had 6.5 kilos, so I wasn't I wasn't trusting myself to wake up with enough time to cut that weight, because you never know. Like sometimes it comes off easy, sometimes it comes off medium, sometimes like blood out of a stone. So I was like, man, that my only choice is to do it right now. So I just had to lay there all night.
And it come off pretty easy.
It wasn't too bad. Like honestly, like I mean.
But then you were
the first 4 kilos came off like pretty good, and the last 1.5 was kind of shit. But then laying there until the next day, and then they pick you up at 7 a.m. and then the actual weigh-in is like 10:30. You know what I mean? So you're just like just like this. You know what I mean? And I picked up with the actual weigh-ins. Like
you were right.
I actually perked right up, and I felt good. Felt so good getting rehydrated. The other thing that was bad with the morning weigh-in was like normally I've got you got a bit of a routine, right? So I'll weigh in and then I'll drink and rehydrate and then I'll start eating, and I'll eat till I'm pretty full after the weigh-ins because I know that I'm going to go to bed and then I'm just going to keep it light the next day.
Yeah.
But then with the weigh-in in the morning, I was eating till I'm pretty full, and then I just start eating over the course of the day.
Drinking
And
milkshakes.
then I did have a milkshake, which was a bad choice. But then you go to bed and we get picked up at 7 a.m. the next morning again. So I've kind of gone to bed like kind of full, and then obviously like with the restricted thing, you didn't really digest overnight.
Yeah.
You kind of wake up, you're like, ooh, you got like the food hangover, and you're like, man, I'm fighting in like 3 hours.
Shit time to fight as well.
Yeah, what time was the actual? It was 11?
I think I fought at 10 a.m.
I think it's bullshit that they
that
make
makes
you
sense.
fight on American time even though you're fucking Australian.
I know, but that's the game, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like,
It's tough.
especially that's the thing, you think it'd be like a wicked advantage being an Australian and fighting in Australia.
What time did you fight against Sabota? Like for your time?
I can't remember.
Because it was like 4 a.m. here, 3 a.m.
Yeah, I think it was like Saturday night Europe time. So I
That's
think
nice.
it was normal. Like it wasn't.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed today. I have to get out of here.
Yeah,
I've
so
got-
do I. I have shit to do. I have marketing meetings.
And Steve's obviously
I'm a
just
big
got,
deal.
his phone's been fucking blowing up since he's been here. Now,
Mate, it happens. It
now he's
happens.
a businessman.
You ever
Look at
train?
him. He's
You ever
fucking-
train with Steve? That's what he does. He's fucking.
That's not true. But
That's such a bad advert.
I'll tell you
Steve.
one story. Before,
He takes that back.
Can I tell you one story before we go? You
Yes.
guys are gonna pay me for an hour and a half, by the way.
Okay.
No dramas.
I'm gonna tell you a story.
The agreed rate of 0.
I'm going to tell you a
No
story.
more
That
dollars now.
one day, the Mitchell Tinley came to the gym to do a PT. And what did you do instead of doing a PT?
Which time was this?
When you put the air bike together?
Oh, I'm glad you said that one and not the last one.
No,
But-
never happened.
It was obviously still in between.
Yeah, we're kind of building a new gym.
And Steve, like, I've trained with Steve for fucking ever. Like, just have been his only steady income for a very long time. and he was like, still putting together the gym. And there's times where I go, we're not fucking training today. Steve's like, oh, just chuck that air bike together, and when you're done, we'll get going. Fucking took me about an hour and a half, but I fucking built it, and I walked away, and I was like, yeah, I did it, and then, session's over. It's like,
Yeah, good session.
Good
There
fun.
was another time at the old gym where...
Did you pay him at the end of it?
I fucking
Here's
did
an
fun.
That's right.
$70
There was a time at the old gym where Brendan was supposed to come and train.
Yeah.
And you rocked up, you're like, oh, Brendan bailed. And I was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, you still want to train? I'm like, yeah, we'll do a bit. I was like, oh, yeah. We just ended up, that's my phone.
What a ringtone as well.
Yeah,
Dramatic.
sorry about that. And then we literally just sat there and talked shit for an hour.
It's happened like countless times. Like,
if
how
anyone's-
much training have you done, Mitch? Oh, I train like 3 times a week. Like, what do you do? Let's not get into that. Like, it just...
Yeah, we get into it. Steve and I'll ring Steve to ask him about a fight, and then an hour later we're still fucking...
It's fucked
Playing
because
phone tag.
he's a coach, but he's also like...
We've got the old lantern out, and we're fucking talking old times and fucking...
No, he's just fun to talk to. But sometimes it's weird when you're like paying him.
Steve is $70 for a conversation.
But it is quite weird because Steve will fucking belt the shit out of you one day and make you feel like the worst fucking fighter in the world. And then you come back one week, you're the best. I'm like, you know what? I might fucking fight. And then 3 weeks later, I'm just fucking feel like the biggest piece of shit ever. So Steve has like a good cycle of keeping you coming back.
He's a good man. He's been in the game a long time. He's savvy, but don't be fooled by the innocent.
He's a bad dude.
Say something else, but he's not listening anyway.
I'm listening.
I often wonder if
Anyway,
he can
he
hear
zoned
us.
out.
I'm not zoned
Steve,
out.
Can you guys use earphones?
I
by the
didn't
way?
actually think, only on one side.
I can't use earphones.
I have to have the over-the-head earphone. Thanks for your time, Steve. I was actually not confident that you'd show up.
Me neither, because you didn't show up last week.
I've got things to do.
Like what?
But you're here
People
now,
to choke. I am, absolutely.
even though you're not here at the moment, present in the moment.
Yeah,
My
he's not-
wife
he's
says
not-
to me all the time, you're not present in the moment.
He's not very good at like messaging and talking to you at the same time.
I am. I'm listening. I'm not thoroughly entertained with what you guys are saying right now.
Well, we were just saying goodbye.
Yeah,
We were
goodbye.
saying thanks for your time.
Yeah, cheers.
We appreciate
don't
it.
forget to remind everyone weekly about the time that I came on the podcast. Was it the best podcast so far?
You've been listening
Ours
to
was
fucking-
pretty good.
Whatever.
You guys haven't had any tension about the best gym in WA yet.
Was Alden saying Macon's the best, and you were like,
I didn't
It's
reply,
the best.
actually.
I don't think he did, but Adam was like, I don't know.
but like, look, at the end of the day, like you the people who train at the local Taekwondo gym are they think their gym's the best.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know what I mean? They're just like, yeah, but all my friends are there, and we've got like wicked variety of drinks in the drinks fridge, and it's close to home. I will say this: if your gym, no matter how good it is closed off to training with other people, you cannot possibly have the best gym.
There you go.
No
You
better
heard it
words
from
have
the
been
man
said.
himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Stephen,
Let's
the
finish on that
Stephen
bombshell.
Kennedy.
Fuck yeah.
And where can I find your gym?
101 Catherine Street, Morley, or just look up Inner City Fitness or Kick-Ass MMA on
Or
Facebook.
next,
Cam.
or fucking next gen, they're already
Look
going.
up Cam on...
Next Generation MMA Morley.
Google.
Do it. It's all up there. Go there. You can fight me. We're out of here.
Fucking great. I'll be there next week.
Eternal MMA Uncensored.